back, and we're so glad you're here. Today is day 12, and we're talking about God transforms you. And I know that God's done that in my life. He's done that in your life. And the two people we have on today is our friends Lydia and Reeves, who you've heard from before too. And they have big testimonies. Both of them, God has done drastic work in their life. And there is the old creation, and there's the new self. And both of them are just such testaments to the way that they lived their life pre-Jesus and the way that they live their life now. And God does transform us. It's possible to be one way and then to be adopted into God's family, like Sadie talked about yesterday. And he does transform you into looking more like his son, Jesus. And so today, just lean into it. If you've never felt God really get a hold of your life or a hold of your heart and really just transform you, do a work in you, pray that you'd lean into that today and that you would just be transformed.
Hey guys, we're so excited to be with y'all on day 12 of the 90-day challenge. And the verse for today is 2 Corinthians 3:18. And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another.
Yeah. You may remember us from day 3, and we kind of already started to go into this. Reeves went a little bit more into his testimony than I did, but I love the challenge for today. And the challenge for today is to take a moment and write out your testimony. So I know that a lot of people can relate to what Sadie said in this day. There's so much that is true in here that there's a lot of comparing testimonies to each other. And I think that can be a really dangerous thing to do and an unnecessary thing to do, because it's true where she gets to at the end that when we give our life to Jesus, his transformation is what makes a testimony. It's not the things that we used to do. It's not the big crazy things like she's talking about. It's about the power of Jesus transforming a life, because the truth is we're all sinners. We're all born into sin. And so whether we are crazy over here or we're just pretty, what seems to be not as crazy over here, it's all the powerful transformation of Jesus Christ in our life. And so my testimony, I definitely related to what Sadie said for a long time. All throughout high school, I would compare my sins to other people's sins. And I would think, I'm not doing that, so it's not that bad. This is okay because it's not what they're doing. That's really crazy. And I compared for so long to the point that I got to the really crazy. I would compare and say, well, this isn't that bad. And then the next time I would say, well, this isn't that bad. And then the next time it's not that bad. And so you can see there's a pattern there that eventually I was the crazy person that was drunk every weekend. I was the person doing drugs. I was the person who was sleeping around. And it got to the point where I was the person that I was looking and I'm like, I am that bad. This is where I'm at. I am that bad. And I think I got to a spot where I felt stuck in that I'm that bad, And I love that Sadie talks about Paul in this challenge this day today, because I have related to Paul so much. And I remember reading about Paul and how, Paul was, I think I definitely, to the worst that I got, I was not as bad as Paul. I was not killing people. I wasn't over here. But still, Jesus Christ crashed into his life and he changed this man. And now Paul is someone who we all look to. We all read what he has written about the Lord, and it helps point us to Jesus. And so I remember when I gave my life to the Lord in 2020, it was life change forever, transformation forever. And I read about Paul, and I also read about the woman at the well and how Jesus can truly immediately change your life. And that's what he did in my life. He did. And that didn't mean I was immediately perfect. That doesn't mean that I immediately stopped sinning. No, because I still sin today and I still have to turn my eyes to Jesus every day. But I think that's another beautiful thing about the transformation that Jesus can have, is that he wants to transform us forever. It's not that one day you repent and it's over. It's that every day we get to turn back to him and he gets to continue transforming us. He gets to continue sanctifying us. And I just think that it's a beautiful thing that we don't have to compare our stories to everyone else. I now get to work for a ministry called Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And my job interview, honestly, I sat down at a table and I was told to share my elevator testimony. And I had never done that before. And it was a little bit scary, but I just sat down and I thought for a second, what has God done in my life? And the truth is he's taken me from a place of darkness and brought me into the light. And that's what a testimony is. That is what the power of Jesus can do. And so I want to challenge you guys that, like Sadie says, if you have that crazy story where you were drunk and you were sleeping around and you were doing this, write it out and write where Jesus has brought you. If you have a story where you can't think of a crazy thing, I promise you, God has done miracles in your life. And so I would challenge you, just think about that today and write that out. And I would also challenge you, if you haven't given your life to the Lord today, and if you're in that place that I was in, where you feel stuck and you feel like you can't get out, give it to God, because He wants to transform your life today.
Wow, that's so good. And I think that the beautiful thing about this challenge today is that no matter where you're at in your walk, just like she's saying, we can compare our sin. It might look different for each person, and it does, but none of us are alone in the fact that we have something that we're struggling with.
Yeah.
And at any given moment, we need to examine our heart and realize, okay, what's going on? Where am I at? And writing down our testimony, I think, is a great thing to look back at the faithfulness of God and to see what God has done in your life. And sometimes that opens the door, kind of like the scales fell off the eyes of Paul. We have that moment at salvation, and we continue to have that moment. Scales are removed, and we're able to see, okay, this is the things that you're pruning off of my life. Like, these are the things that you are taking away and cutting off. And so sometimes, like today, writing out our testimony could be a really good tool to look at where we're at and to see the faithfulness of God and to see what He's doing right now and press into that. So I hope that this challenge today can really help you to do that, and I hope that the Lord can speak to you in this time.